Good evening, this is Rob Wilson with the EU US dollar market preview for Thursday, the 26th of April, 2012. As I look at this session coming from where I am now, I'm looking at being a seller really. If I detect any weakness at 132.50, and on the other hand, if we get back down to 131.80, and I detect any strength, I'm a buyer. You want to know why? Hang around and we'll get into it. Okay, as usual, let's start off by taking a look at today's price action, and we can see after a fairly slow start, we shuttled around in about a what was it then? About a 50 pip range essentially, very tight range today. The highs were up at 132.33, 35 touch. And the low was 131.80, pretty much as we forecast coming into this market. Although it got more and more volatile as the US FOMC news came out, you can see that yet again we failed to break through last Friday's high at 132.35, and we're just settling back down in a range. And a lot will depend on what Asia does with this overnight. We are still in this weak uptrend. We are continuing to grind up, but we are now, having said that, at pretty key resistance. This is as high as we got last Friday, and we've never been back there since. Well, now we are, and a lot will depend really on whether the market can push through here. Because if it can't, this last the action over the last week, and the action over the last week is essentially going to risk crumbling. And if that happens, we could see a swift canter back down to the downside. So, pretty key moment as far as I'm concerned. Coming down onto the 15-minute timescale, you can see this, this action in more sort of detail, and you can also see the key levels are continuing to play a role. The sloping resistance, the rising resistance, manages to hold price up yet again this afternoon on volatility following the FOMC announcements. And likewise, resistance above at 132.33 is also still doing its job at the moment. We're just failing to find a way to push through that. Below price, again, we've got that key level, 131.50, and then below that even more, 131. And above, we still got 4-hour resistance, which hasn't even been tested yet at 132.50, and a missed pivot up here at 132.80. So these are the key levels coming into tomorrow's session. And they're the ones we have to watch, and they also present us with potential trading opportunities as we move forward. Looking at news going in tomorrow, well, there's a bit in the European session. There's some European action at 3:30, some sterling figures at 4:30 and 6, but yet again the big figures, the big numbers with the potential to move market arrive in once North America is open, with unemployment claims at 8:30 and pending home sales at 10 o'clock. They're the numbers, and that's when the numbers are coming out, and those are the times we need to be careful. Looking then at the trading chart, you can see that we've marked news off at 3:30, 4:36, and these big numbers at 8:30 and 10. Just to remind myself to be careful, when those figures are due. Again, each of them could produce a sort of reaction that can be traded. You just need to be careful. Doesn't matter what they are. Just need all you need to focus on is what price is doing around them. And once again, then these key levels, 132.6 to 132 even was pretty significant today at times. So that's in there. See 132.25. We could put another one up here at 133.35. But I just wanted to wait and see how we get through overnight. And then the key resistance above price at 132.50. And if we were to come up higher, then you would see that daily missed pivot at 132.76, just sitting up there waiting to be tapped. Below price, that little level at 131.60, just noting that sort of 50 to 60 range. That's possible, but the key level for me, I think, is from a rising support perspective, is this good old 1 hour rising support line, which is continuing to do the job and hold price up. And I think that's pretty key actually as we go into tomorrow, because if we do get a stumble up here at where price is now, or indeed up at 132.50. If momentum does, fall over at that stage, we could see a bit of a sell-off. And if we come through this level with conviction, with energy, then I will certainly be standing aside as support to the downside and looking to trade back off it if retested as resistance. Because whilst we're in this weak uptrend, we need to see some energy to the upside soon. Because if we don't, I think there is a chance that the bears will take over, and if they do, it could come down very swiftly indeed. Okay, so to wrap that all up, we're still in this weak uptrend, but as far as I'm concerned, short-term trading, we'll treat it as a range, and we'll be looking at that structural resistance very closely. Resistance at 132.50 and 132.80 above that. Support below price at 131.80, 131.50 and 131 even. News, we've got minor news at 3:30, some sterling news at 4:30 and 6, and the big numbers tomorrow coming out after the North American Open at 8:30 and 10. So what's the plan? Well, really, I've got no bias unless we break 132.50 to the upside or 131.50 to the downside with conviction. I'll be trading against well-defined support and resistance edges, 132.50 above and 131.80 below. As usual, I'll be updating all of this information based on overnight action at the London Open at 0300 EST. In the meantime, get some kip, be sharp tomorrow, and good luck with your trading.